What's up, everybody? It's your Daily Crypto News. My name is Matt, and it is March 6th, and it's a Friday, 2026. I want to say thanks for everybody who reached out and said, hey, it's good to hear your voice. Good to be here. I'm miss you guys. I also like the comments that saying, oh, I'm happy you're not coming back and doing some kind of round table interview, 1 hour long shit. We just want to come in and get out. And so let's get in and get out with the Daily Crypto News. Stop the BS. Let's go. So the Central Bank of the United Arab Emirates has affirmed that the financial system remains stable following recent missile and drone strikes. The UAE continues to be a major hub for the industry, hosting over 1,800 crypto businesses. Look, when you're looking at these kind of conflicts, it's always good to think about a couple of things. First of all, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, places in the area, there's a lot of crypto businesses. So when these kind of acts of aggression happens, or these military strikes happen, then you have to wonder what's going to happen in your area. Then you have to wonder about the different hedges when it comes to these different conflicts. We're talking about trading, we're talking about cryptos, we're talking about different commodities, securities, and how that's going to affect the region. I think it was like only, I don't know, an hour after the Iran strike happened, my financial advisors were giving me emails saying like, hey, you know what you got to do now? Buy oil. Well, I mean, that was the most obvious thing to do. You could have got it on Monday for like $70 a barrel. It's 86 now. So anyway, it's always good to figure out like what's happening within the system, what's going to break, what's going to succeed, and then who could be taking up. If there's always an arbitrage. Something can happen in this area. I hate talking about like these kind of conflicts because, it's like, hey, how do we profit from it? But it's also, how do you save yourself from losing money as well? Because you have this conflict happening. If there's going to be a vacuum of services or supply or some kind of choke supply chain, somebody else is going to pick up that slack. Where there's slack, there is profit to be made. So keep looking for those opportunities. Russia has reportedly been moving forward with a new stablecoin bill designed to capitalize on what officials called the colossal potential of digital assets. Look, there's rails all around the world. You have Swift, America, you have the Chinese rails as well. They've have their own allies, and different countries trying to break away from Swift or to make their own rails because of sanctions, because of aggressions, because of, maybe unfriendly trade policies. And Russia's one of those. The fact that they haven't made these rails with stablecoins a long time ago just means that they're stuck in bureaucracy or stuck. I don't know what it is. It's like you already have sanctions. You already have like this kind of cutoff when it comes to economically. Why didn't you do this earlier? They should have been. And I think more countries will. Well, places like Venezuela, they actually tried to. And the United States put a stop to that real quick. But I'm just surprised that more countries have not been looking at like stable coins or digital assets as a way to, in a serious way, to get away from, say, Swift or a Chinese system. Maybe they're hoping for the best. 1 year after the creation of a national Bitcoin reserve, reports indicate that the United States Treasury Department has yet to develop a formal acquisition strategy to begin stacking sats. President Trump mentioned this the other day. There has been a stall with the Clarity Act in the Senate. This is going to make it clear if digital assets are securities or commodities, helping the industry grow, plan accordingly, setting guardrails and rules of the road, and that needs to get passed. And once that does get passed, you're going to have to see a lot more confidence in the market, and then a lot of other things within that, not just the clarity, but the market in general has slowed in a way that over the past year, and nobody's been really talking about it. So there's a new push, there's a new like heightened awareness of what's happening with digital assets, and I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe the things that are happening in Iran is forcing that kind of talk again. Like, hey, are we going to hedge into gold? Are we hedging into different kind of commodities? Is it oil? Are we going to see inflation? Is Bitcoin going to be the hedge this time, or are we going to see it into precious metals, or what's going to happen? Anyway, there is new discussions around Bitcoin digital assets. Nexo has introduced a new 21st century time deposit aimed at redefining digital dollar savings for current markets. Great. That sounds good. There's been some corporate strategic moves. C has signed a strategic agreement to acquire the core assets of iZoom Finance. It's IZUMI Finance. I never heard of them before in my life. Don't really care. A former AI, why did I say that? Hey, maybe you do. A former OpenAI employee is reportedly betting $1 billion on Bitcoin miners. Okay, so the Bitcoin mining thing is very interesting. I was talking to my buddy the other day, and you know him as the Inspirator, Mr. Paul. He writes the daily roundup on Daily Crypto News. And a lot of Bitcoin miners are selling their Bitcoin right now. I've been talking about this for years if you've been following me. During the bull and bear markets in Bitcoin mining, what happens is you have a miner come in, get a lot of investment. Bitcoin prices go up. They get a lot of money from VCs or whatever to build out their mining rigs, because if you have more hash rate, that means you can mine more Bitcoin. And so they're just doing the math, getting the investment, buying more compute, and mining Bitcoin. When number goes down, they either do a couple things. They shut down their operations. That's how when you start knowing the bottom's in. You hear these big miners saying, hey, we got to shut down operations. We have to lay off employees. We have to turn off the lights. We're going out of business, in air quotes. For some reason, they always come back. But that's what you always hear. Or you hear them saying we're selling off assets. You're selling off mining rigs, or you're selling off Bitcoin. Right now, you're seeing a couple things. You're seeing them selling Bitcoin, but you're also seeing them pivot into new compute strategies, which is using compute for these LLM models or some sort of AI models. And so this Bitcoin mining hash rate or compute is pivoting to AI, which is going to be profitable because now they're going to make money off of the inquiries, the tokens, the purchasing of that, OpenClaw, whatever you've been hearing about the prices of the tokens for OpenClaw, how many tokens you can get for $20 a month or whatever. Long story short is they're pivoting. And we haven't really seen that before. We've seen GPUs, be used for mining or gaming and different things like that. But I've never seen it actually find a whole new industry where the compute could be used for. There has been other things like, I don't know, I really don't know, to be honest with you. And this is the first time I think that I can remember off the top of my head that Bitcoin mining compute can be used, or in the hash rate, these rigs can be used for but a similar industry to keep the machines running when Bitcoin price is down. Now the question is would this be more profitable? And if Bitcoin price goes up, would they still allocate compute to AI? Or would they just say, screw AI, we're shutting that down because Bitcoin's more profitable. We're seeing $150,000 Bitcoin. Let's move over there. Basically, the ADD, something shiny with your compute. And finally, a new report highlights how cryptocurrency is increasingly becoming a massive divorce problem as digital assets complicate traditional asset division. I don't see why that would. This is pretty easy when it comes to case law. You bring assets into a marriage, and it depends on the judge, it depends on the estate, it depends on the jurisdiction. This happens all the time. Somebody brings their 401k, stocks, bonds, money markets, blah, 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 cash, a house, cars, anything into a marriage, and either you are in a marriage for 20 years and everything is split no matter what, or you go by a cost basis and say, hey, they brought this much in there. Maybe you have $100,000 of Bitcoin, but it grew to $1 million of Bitcoin. That $100,000 is the cost basis for whoever brought that in, and then you're splitting the 900,000. I've seen that happen multiple times. The advice that everybody gives that have been married, to be honest with, that hasn't been married. The advice that lawyers give is make a prenup. Prenup doesn't mean that, hey, you don't get anything. Prenup doesn't mean that we don't trust each other. A prenup means that you are making an agreement of what happens in the future. And honestly, if you love each other, if you are respectful of each other's well-being, the time to do it is when you're in love and you're going to get married. And a prenup isn't something that is, a static document. It can be amended throughout time. So you make it year 1, you could look at it again year 5, year 10, year 20, whatever. But the fact is that if you don't have your own prenup of what happens if things go south, the government has their own prenup. Your state, your district, the judge's bias, even though there's pretty much, standard ways of dealing with this. As lawyers know, there's still bias involved. So make your own prenup. Everybody has a prenup. It's either one that you made or one that the government made. Let's see those crypto prices really quick. Bitcoin's dropped quite a bit. It's at $68,760 or so. It's down around 5.5% from yesterday. Ethereum's around 2,000. It's really dropping. It's going to drop below 2,000 here really soon. BNB's at 631, down about 4%. Dogecoin is at 9 cents. Let's see, what else do we have? Chainlink is in at $8.89. That's not good. Litecoin's at $53.96. That's also not good. And I also want to take a look at OKB because we were talking about that. OKB is sitting at $94.88. It's pretty much dropped around 12% since yesterday. Anyway, that's daily crypto news. We got in, we got out. I'll see you next time.